Welcome to another edition of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly, and I'm with my friend and co-host, Liz Whitehead.
Hi, Jared.
So good to see you as always. How are you doing?
Good to see you too. I'm doing really well.
Excellent. So we have a special guest. We both met her, I think, at the same time, but you know a little bit more than I do. So please just introduce our next guest.
Sure. So I met Dezzarae Henderson recently, and she is the proprietress of a wine lounge called WineNow. And she started as an HR professional and then turned this passion for wine into a business. And so because of her values of community and connection through wine, I thought she'd be a great person to talk to.
Sounds like she will be. So I'm excited to actually have a great conversation with Dezzarae Henderson. Please join us. Dezzarae.
Hey.
Hello. I have to say, I love that intro. I'm gonna have to use that on my website or something somewhere. I'm like, oh, I like the way that sounded. Proprietress.
Very good. So this is fascinating because we know a little bit, but we don't really know the backstory. So if you can get us started, why did you start Wine Now?
Absolutely. I fell into this business. I said with nothing that was formally planned. I was, happy-go-lucky in my little HR world, pulling my hair out during COVID like everyone else. And, was happy to pick up a bottle or two of wine at the house, a little bit more frequently than probably I would have. And I joined a wine group, and from there I ended up selling wine. I got talked into that, but it turned out to be just a great something actually good being talked into, because I went from being a consumer to on the sales, and then leading conversations with other people during COVID, having remote wine tastings. And I just really enjoyed that. I love the small group discussions of it. I love that I was meeting with a lot of men and women that found that they enjoyed wine as well, but felt really intimidated when they would go into wineries and, tasting rooms, because a lot of times they didn't see people that look like them there. And also when you go to the tasting rooms, there tends to be kind of that hustle and bustle, and you got your ticket, you get your tastings, and it's like, what do you want next? You don't really get to have those really neat wine discussions to see what you like about the wine, why you like it. So I just thought to myself, it would be great to have a place one day, something that where you could do that, where people can come in, that's not intimidating, and just really have some great discussions about wines. And then as things start to open up, I was actually a member of a wine group at a club in downtown LA. And I'm about 45 miles east of LA. And then Southern California time, that could be 45 minutes to 2 hour drive, right? So it wasn't feasible to always get there. And I'm like, gosh, this is a great thing to be a part of, but this drive, and we need something out where I am to have that. And so that's kind of how this got started, was just really, something I would want to go to. So I guess a little selfish in some parts, but just really something creating the sense of community that I was feeling out there, but closer to home, especially in a region that was known for having wineries and was booming wine industry about 30, 40 years ago. So bringing the wine industry back to the community, and also creating a sense of community around that, and highlighting the diversity that's growing within the wine industry as well. So
That's
that's where Wine Now came from. Yeah.
I love it. As a wine enthusiast, I've been to a lot of wineries, and my favorites are the ones that you're talking about, like not the big ones with like oceans of parking lots, but where you walk in and the owner's there, like, what do you
Yes.
like?
Right, right. And sometimes you'll get that on a wine tour. But to your point, when you're going to the wineries are a little bit more popular, yeah, there's no time for that. So it is nice to have those discussions and see what you like. And that's how my palate, grew. I used to like super sweet, thick wine. And now I'm like, oh, I want the red. And, now I'm a budding wine snob. So, yes.
I love it. Well, that's like your personal growth with the wine. Not that there's anything wrong with sweet wines. I like sweet wines too. But how is your company growing? How is Wine Now growing?
Yeah, so it is still new in inception. So we've been open over a year, a little bit over a year. So um, part of this part of this journey is being patient with the process. And I wish it was one of those wine lounges that, every day is just bustling full of people and everything. It's still growing and it's doing well. And I've learned this has also taught me a lot more patience. I just knew that when I opened, people would be, beating down the door, and I have like a little waiting area in the front. So I'm like, this is gonna be where people are gonna wait and we'll have reservations. That wait little area it's not often used. But I think my measurement of success right now is just happy that when my guests come in, the experience that they have and saying, "Oh my gosh, the wines that you have here, I don't see at a lot of places." And, "Oh, I had a great time." And when I get compliments regarding my team, that just, I'm over the moon because for me, you can teach anyone about wine. I mean, my background is in business and HR, and I'm proud to say I just passed my level 2 WeSet certification. So now I'm becoming, more official in the wine. Thank you. And so, you can teach anyone about wine, but you can't teach great customer service and teamwork. And I'm just so blessed and so lucky that I just have an amazing team that they enjoy what they do. And it shows because of how they treat my establishment and their commitment to their work, but also to the guests and their experience as well. So, and that just is really special. So that also adds to the environment.
Yeah. You know what I thought of was a question of who came before you that you might have gleaned a little bit of idea or inspiration from, because I know growing up, I didn't have anyone that knew anything about wine, so I certainly wouldn't have been introduced to the idea of starting a wine lounge. So, did you have anyone, or did you see anything in particular that you said, you know what, they don't have to be a mentor, but maybe somebody that you thought you could emulate the business from?
There's not a lot of wine bars or lounges in the area. They're very spread out, even across the US. There are a couple businesses that are similar, so I kind of took pieces of this and there, but more so than looking at relatable places, I wanted to find experiences that I wanted to emulate, I guess if that makes sense, versus actual physical location. A lot of places that have wine are also restaurants. So I know different wine bars and stuff that are full on restaurants, and I'm not. I offer food, but I just didn't want to get caught in having the right menu and kind of that hustle bustle. I really wanted to focus on the wine. And there's not a lot of places like that. So I focused on the environment, the experience I wanted people to have. And so for my research, that means I had to do a lot of wine tasting and go places. And also to see the setup. It was funny when we were trying to decide with my contractors and my designer how to set up kind of like my back bar area. I was like, well, where should I put the glasses? And they're like, where are the glasses kept usually? And I'm like, that's a great question. I don't usually notice. So I went to an area nearby and went to wine tasting. And I'm like, where they put their glasses? And I'm taking pictures. So, simple things like that, right? So I did do some of that research. But there's not a lot of places. Now being open a year later, there are a lot more and more across the country opening up, which I love, and of diversity and more wines that are coming out. And so that's exciting to see. But there's not a lot. So I've actually had people come into my wine lounge looking and getting ideas everywhere from women that are looking to open locally. And I even had someone come in from Texas that came in to check it out and get some ideas and chat with me. So that was neat. I was like, "Ooh, okay, I'm consulting someone else, being in business all of 2 seconds." But I'm happy I was able to do that for them. Yes.
Yeah, a pioneer. I love it.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes. I think the closest one is in Oakland. There's something similar, and there's someone that opened up after me, but yeah, in Oakland, downtown Oakland. So I had a chance to speak with her a little bit. But yeah, otherwise, but Oakland is a 45-minute flight, but that's about 6-hour drive. So not exactly close.
Yeah, that's it's really interesting. I saw that on your website you have like a generational wealth
Yeah.
rosé.
Hmm.
And so it's clear this is about more than just wine for you. What is the impact that you hope to make?
The one of the biggest impacts are to grow the knowledge of wine in the industry with the guests and people that come in, but also really highlight and provide more exposure to the different businesses, the men, the women that are in the industry that didn't historically look like them, and really highlight those, and also the families and boutique wineries that are, in there. And I really love that I get a chance to highlight something great that they've created and they have as maybe their retirement plans or their version of generational wealth for their families, like, something that I want to do. I hope to be able to pass this down to my son one day and grow the business. So that's one of the biggest things I hope to create from this. But when I have guests come in and they're like, oh my gosh, you have Lebanese wine in here and you have Armenian wine and Mexican owned brands and South African and, Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico. And so having all those different things that you can't get at Costco or Trader Joe's, which both have great varieties, of wine there, but, it's something everywhere, so I want to highlight these smaller, proprietors and their wines and great things that they're doing.
I love that. And I have one last question for you, though.
Sure.
I think that you have, especially a discovery period, as an entrepreneur in this particular space. I'm curious if you've created any milestones or landmarks or data that you're trying to measure against to determine, like this is where I need to be, or this is how I see us scaling up, because it's obviously still a new brand, but is it just
Right.
full, or what is it that you really are tracking to level your performance?
You know what? That's a great question. So when I did my financials initially, because there aren't a lot of apples to apples businesses like mine, there's a lot of guessing. And let's say my guesstimates were a bit off. And so now that I've been in business and taking a look and seeing where the bulk of the funds come from, it's really from doing events and creating it, whether I do the events or people use my venue as an event space. That's where the bulk of the funds come from versus people coming in off the street for tastings. And so I'm really doing more this year to highlight my venue as a location where people can come during the daytime and give seminars and workshops. So I've actually started giving HR workshops during the daytime because it's sitting empty. So that's value, that's stuff that can be used. And also where, companies can come and do team building. I'm working with a local arena for a local hockey team where they can use my location as a watch party and highlight that. So having some of those kind of out of the box things, I have a couple group organizations that use my smaller space there for their board meetings once a month. So when they meet, so highlighting that. But it is going to be a fine balance because I don't want to be so booked that my regulars and things can't come in and enjoy the wine as well and have that experience because I'm more of an event space at that point. So it's going to be a fine balance. But that's what I'm focusing on this year is really getting the word out there and really highlighting special events and moments and memories that can be created there through having events.
That's all. This is making me wish I lived closer to you so I could
Yeah.
go.
Mhm.
Because it sounds like, the wine is a bonus on top of all this community building that you're doing.
Yes, last Saturday night I had a with comedy night, and I work with a comedy promoter. He brings in comedians every month, and because it was International Women's Day, we highlighted women comedians. And I had a gentleman that came. He sat by himself, was kind of quiet, and he didn't even drink alcohol. And he came and sat there, hung out afterwards, and so he and I just had a chance to chat afterwards. And he was just telling me how he had just the best time. And I said, yeah, I said, so, you can't drink or what have you. So he kind of explained the story with that. But I really just felt so special because I'm like, here I am. This guy came out, had a great time and didn't even drink anything. He had non-alcoholic beer that I had and things, but didn't even drink the wine I had and still had a good time. And that just for me really cemented the environment I want to create, whether someone drinks or not, I want them to know that they can still come in and still have that sense of community and connection with people as well.
Well, congratulations. Let us say that is not only phenomenal that you've created this space, but also that you're creating a connection to the community. You connecting people in spaces. You're giving them experiences. Especially those experiences that people get a chance to laugh and enjoy themselves. those experiences create memories. So they will connect that with the location that you've created, and that's coming obviously from the heart. And with your hospitality, I'm sure it's going to grow, and you're going to get all the business that you can handle. So um, thank you for joining us
Thank
on
you
12
so
Point
much for
Five.
having me.
This has been fantastic. I definitely give us the location. What city is it in?
Yes, I'm in Rancho Cucamonga, so it's called Wine Now with the exclamation mark because create that sense of urgency, right? I want it right now. Wine Now, Rancho Cucamonga, 8419 Haven Avenue in Rancho. So come by and see me.
Great.
Love it. Well, thank you, Desiree, for joining us. We're going to wrap up here, and we'll definitely check back in with you, possibly live, coming to California. I like that idea. How about
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Thanks,
that?
Desiree. So, again, I'm saying I like wine. Do I say that too much on the show? I like I like the wine part of it, but I think what Desiree brings to it, I think what's so interesting, a lot of times when we're talking about our career, like it's not a straight line, especially for entrepreneurs. Like I never thought I'd be a business owner. And I think her journey from HR person to wine connoisseur and owner of this wine lounge really reflects in the experience. She's really thinking about not just the wine itself, but the experience that somebody has, the way an HR person would. Like she said, her team members really reflect that, and I think that always comes from leadership. So I think that's a really big differentiator she has in the industry.
I do as well, and I also think that she has such a genuine, rich personality that hospitality comes through. It not only comes through from her directly, but it comes through from the people that she employs, and that's probably why it makes the space such a family and friendly, inviting space to be in. So I can't wait to visit. I think we should, if we can do a
Let's
show out,
go. Let's go.
let's do it. Let's do it. So another great episode, 12.5 minutes. My name is Jared Kelly. This is Liz Whitehead, and we are out of here. Bye.